2 months ago, I started working on my retro horror game. Chapter 1 is now ready, you can play it on itch.io, and you can also wishlist it on Steam. Please do that. This video is an overview of the whole project, but I'll try to add some extra information in case you have already seen my previous devlogs about the game. It all started when I was trying to sleep at night, but then I had an idea for a horror game, which takes place in a serial killer's house and you control a reporter. No, it's totally not Murder House by Puppet Combo. My main inspiration was actually Cannibal Abduction by Celebi. The killer is a cultist. He kills people he considers sinners, and he also wants to get revenge on some guy named Dr. Hudson. Oh, and he also kills everyone who sees his face. The game starts with a police raid going on at the killer's house. John is our player character, he's a news reporter. First, I set up this news scene with my own custom dialogue system. Yeah, this is how the character look like. But don't worry, I fixed him later. I've probably said this many times, but I hate making human characters. It was a pain in the ass making them, and most of the time I use this software called MakeHuman. But then I had to reduce the polygon count to fit the style of the game. You don't believe me? Just look at this. This face tells you everything about my modeling skills. By the way, did you know that only 10% of you are subscribed? So smash that subscribe button if you enjoy this content and join our Discord server. You can also support the channel on Patreon. Oh, and definitely wishlist my game on Steam. On the following week I continued designing this scene. I made this house, which is way too small, so I'll have to replace it later. After that I made a police model and applied some animations using Mixamo, every game their favorite website. It automatically applies characteristics to our models along with the selected animation. For example, here's this walking animation or this dying in pain animation. It wasn't that easy importing them in Godot, however. As you can see, it exported multiple meshes at the same time, I don't know how. But I managed to fix it by making all but one mesh invisible. I know that's not really a fix because they are still there, but the player can see them. Then I made an enum so I can easily switch between animations in the game. It's also easier to set up the state in the editor using this drop-down menu here. Here's the script. We use a match statement to check the enum's current state, then we play the corresponding animation. I also had to make a cutscene, so first I programmed these policemen who walk towards this door and then they fuse together because they don't have colliders. But as they are walking, they accidentally activate this landmine which explodes, injuring them and the player. Remember this guy from the intro? Well, I finally gave him an actual face. I know it looks horrible, but it looks quite decent in the game. Then I had to make the faceless killer, you know, the actual guy from the title of the game. An evil maniac, a serial killer, a member of a Lovecraftian cult. My modeling skills are still really bad, so I downloaded this base mesh from the internet to texture it. So I don't have to make the mesh myself, but as I found out, my texturing skills are just as bad as my other skills. Here's how the UV layout looks. I just placed the hundreds of polygons here on the small part of the texture. Making the mask was a bit easier, I just had to place the texture on it. So, my modeling skills are bad, my texturing skills are bad, and we haven't even talked about my level design skills. Level design is another thing I hate, but anyway I had to do it, so I started working on this kitchen. I made models like this sink here or these cabinets here. Then I added a health bar, which is this heartbeat sensor. Its speed changes based on how much HP the player has. After that I had to make a system so I can easily add items in the game, so the player can pick them up and use them to advance. I created this custom resource, an item class, which contains a few lines of data, like a sprite which will be displayed in the inventory, an ID which is the most important part, We interact with different objects based on the item's ID, and it also has a name. So if I want to make a new item, I can just create one here and assign all those variables. Then I have this item holder script. It's a static body containing an item. So if I click on it, I delete the physical items from the scene and add it to my inventory. Yeah, that sprite was really ugly, so I decided to just use a screenshot of the actual 3D model for the inventory icons. By the way, did I tell you to wishlist the game on Steam? The rooms were way too dark, so I added a light switch, so you can turn on the lights in basically every room for better visibility. I don't know about you, but I enjoy turning up lights when it's dark. It's an incredible immersion. I would recommend installing light switches in your house if you don't have them already. I spent the next few days designing rooms like this living room. It was pretty boring and it doesn't even look good. I also have a cabinet here which is locked. You can open it with a small key, but first you have to find that key, of course. For the main game map, I use an interesting solution. All of my rooms are saved as a separate scene. Here's the kitchen, here's the living room. But I have them all here in this main scene where the game takes place. It has all the rooms here together. The doors are also here in this main scene. If you go through a door, you basically get teleported to another room. Each door has a corresponding 3D position, which is where you get teleported. After violating the Geneva Conventions by using a red cross in my game and replacing it with a green one, I had to spend a few days for level design again. Look at this beautiful washing machine I've made. It's just a cube with a picture on it. So here's how the bathroom looks like. It has a sink, a bathtub filled with blood, and a boiler from an asset pack I bought. Overall it looks great aside from the strange Godot bug where my sink sometimes transforms into another completely different model, but it's fixed now. I also downloaded a few animations for my killer. For example, here's his attacking animation and he also has a walking animation. Then I made him tall because it's more scary. Ooh, scary. Here's also the bedroom I've made, but it's still quite empty and the assets don't look that great. It's kinda like my own bedroom actually. I also made a class that you can hide in it from the killer, which can be really useful in a horror game. Then I made another enum, this time for the killer, so I can easily change its logic states and animations with a simple button click. I also added a kitchen blade in his hand. Animating it took forever because at this point I didn't know I could just simply attach it to one of his bones. So I had to animate the blade's position and make it fit perfectly with the killer's animations. You can see it's still not perfect, but it will be fixed later. I implemented Godot's pathfinding system, and now he's following me around the room with his menacing walk. I had to modify some stuff to get him to move up and down on these stairs, and he still looks drunk while doing it, but he is fine for now. You probably won't be watching him while he chases you. I wrote a few lines of code and now he can attack me when he gets close enough, and if the blade collides with the player, we lose 1 HP. In the last devlog, which was uploaded almost a month ago, I made some logic puzzles. I won't show you all of them because then it wouldn't be interesting, so let's talk about some other stuff. I added this blood effect when the killer hits you, so now you get a visual feedback when you lose an HP, otherwise it was hard to tell. I also added some basic animations to it because it looked too static. Then I had to write my own system for handling interactions between static objects and items in my inventory. As you can see, for example, this door is locked, but if I go here and pick up this key, I can use it on the door and now I can enter this room. I explained how that works in the last devlog, but basically I made it so I can use this system for anything. I don't have to use it for opening doors. I can light candles on fire, or no, I won't tell you what puzzles I have in the game. I also got some great feedback from some of you on how to attach the enemy's weapon to his hand bone. So I did that and it works perfectly. I can also use the keys to open these cabinets here, and I can pick up this bandage for example. I can use the bandage to heal myself. You can see my heart rate sensor is red, but if I use the bandage it will be green again. The devlog ended by me making a bunch of items. So now comes the part that wasn't featured in any of my devlogs yet. I made this cool title screen which was later changed because of technical reasons. What technical reasons, you might ask? Well, I switched from Windows to Linux, and while doing that I forgot to save my changes to GitHub. So I lost 3 days of progress because of this, but anyway I managed to recover most of it in 2 days, so it wasn't that devastating. I spent the final days before release making the cutscenes, making the 2 endings, and making this cool tripwire mine. So the game was released a few days ago and well, the release wasn't great. In fact, it was much worse than I hoped. Barely any people played the game compared to my previous one called The Mines of Pelen, and the game was full of bugs on release. I playtested the game on release day and everything went fine, but apparently there were some bugs I missed, so I had to release an update. But then the update messed up something else, so I had to release an update which messed up something else, so I had to release an update. Huge thanks to Horror Gamer who reported all the bugs on the Discord server and helped me fix hopefully all of them. So the game is now in a playable state. I even added an easy mode, but probably it's too late. On itch.io the main traffic is coming from the new and popular tab, but my game is not there anymore, so I can probably book it as a failure. Hopefully the Steam release will be much better, so wishlist the game on Steam. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now I have to focus on chapter 2, which will probably be free as well. I don't know when the next video will come. I'll probably try to make weekly devlogs on chapter 2. I also want to make a video about my Linux experiences, so stay tuned. Bye.